Yo, how's it going, guys? It's the 1MFP here. All smiles today. And you just know that's because the Habs are up by one after Game 1 in Round 1 of the 2015 Stanley Cup playoffs against the Ottawa Senators. The Habs came into this with exactly the mentality they had to. You look at the pre-game shot of them in the locker room, you could just see that look in their eyes, that hunger. And that was even more visible during the national anthem. You just see Carey Price standing there with a stone cold look in his face, whereas Andrew Hammond is just, kind of bouncing around and whatnot. Even during the warm-up, you see Carey Price just doing his normal routine of, just sliding side to side, stretching and whatnot, whereas Andrew Hammond is just looking over. I just remember looking at the two goalies' body language and just feeling very confident about this game before the puck drop. And then the puck dropped and the Habs just came out strong. They had an aggressive forecheck. They tried to set their own pace. They were setting a physical tone. And speaking of physical tone, Devontae Smith-Pelly had a big physical night. He really showed why the type of player he is important in the Stanley Cup playoffs. It really wears down the opposing team. It's really hard to play against that type of player in a best-of-7 series. And things were just looking really good. The fans were really into it. They were very loud. The Hammond chants were raining down really early. Then Jacob de la Rose gets called for a questionable hooking call. But most importantly, the Habs kill it off very well. And this is something I touched up on in a previous video, saying the Habs needed to be disciplined and their special teams needed to come up big. We saw that at play here. The Habs effectively killed off the penalty. They didn't just kill the penalty, but they didn't allow Ottawa to build momentum off of it. And I can't stress how important that is, because with momentum comes pressure, and with pressure you get a lot of offensive zone domination, and you do not want that to happen. In this series, with the type of team Ottawa is, they have a lot of scoring depth. They have a very skillful offensive defenseman in Erik Karlsson. But yeah, we saw guys like Devontae Smith-Pelly play the puck on the penalty kill, killing valuable penalty minutes. Prest as well did the same. And that really prevented Ottawa from getting momentum in the first few minutes. Habs fans continued being loud, and that's very important as well in terms of momentum, because if you're applying pressure as the home team and you have all these fans just feeding you energy, it's helpful for you. It's also helpful to intimidate the opposing team a little bit. It's that type of energy that causes mistakes to be made by the visiting team. And we saw that kind of mistake with the defensive zone turnover, which saw Mitchell get a breakaway chance. Unfortunately, Andrew Hammond made the key save, which kind of allowed Ottawa to build on that confidence they have on him. And in this game, that confidence was very evident. You saw them protect Hammond very well. Defense was doing their job exactly how they needed to, because they knew Hammond would make the saves as long as they did their jobs correctly. The defensemen made it very difficult for the Habs to get close to Hammond in any way, and that takes away a very important strategy against a goalie like Hammond. You want to get in front of him, you want to create traffic, you want to take him out of his comfort zone. That's why it was so difficult to get any quality chances on Hammond in the early stages of this game. Off of the save on Torrey Mitchell, Ottawa started to build momentum. The Habs started letting up a bit. This kind of put the Habs in a troublesome spot, because the teams they have difficulty against are the fast teams. We saw it with the New York Rangers last year. We saw it with Tampa Bay throughout the season. So the Ottawa Senators were playing that type of game and were creating issues for the Montreal Canadiens. Eventually, that would lead to a bad bounce that Andrei Markov would tip in behind his goalie, Carey Price, and into the back of his net, giving the Ottawa Senators the 1-0 lead. In the process, this goal also silenced the Bell Center, which was really big for the Ottawa Senators. It put a little exclamation point on the momentum shift that started earlier on the save on the Torrey Mitchell shot. This goal put the Habs in a compromising situation. The Bell Center was silenced. The Ottawa Senators were controlling the pace. So at this point, the Ottawa Senators were where they needed to be. At this point, you could probably really feel the nervosity as a Habs fan, because the Habs simply weren't getting the quality chances on Hammond. Now I'm going to go back to my last video a little bit really quickly here. I said we needed to get a couple of quick goals on Andrew Hammond to take away that confidence Ottawa has in their goalie. My reasoning behind that is you take away some of that confidence Andrew Hammond has. You take away his confidence, you change the way the Ottawa Senators play. In addition, quick goals would put an amount of energy in the Bell Center that would be very hard for Andrew Hammond and the Ottawa Senators to deal with. because the Habs could really feed off of that energy and capitalize, really give them momentum. And that is exactly what we saw in the second period. The Habs really came out swinging. They got 2 quick goals on Hammond, and they put Ottawa on their heels. Unfortunately, after that, Lars Eller gets called for a high-sticking penalty, and soon after, really soon after, PK Subban gets a game misconduct for a slashing penalty. There was a lot of frustration in Habs Nation at that point. I don't think anyone was upset that it was a penalty. I think they were more upset at the game misconduct and the 5-minute penalty. I'll address that in another video because if I get into specifics here, this video will be way too long. Thankfully, Kyle Turris also got called for a roughing penalty, so it was actually 4-on-3. But nevertheless, it was going to have to be a 5-minute penalty kill. And you also know Ottawa could score and the penalty kill will still be going because it was a 5-minute major. Beyond that, the Habs were losing their number 1 defenseman. It's scary, but you know some guys just have to step up. Thankfully, Jeff Petrie did exactly just that, logging some crucial minutes. The Kyle Turris penalty expires, Kyle Turris equalizes the game on the power play, probably bringing back that nervosity in Habs Nation. However, the Habs had built up enough momentum to get through that. Lars Eller comes up big with the shorthanded goal, putting the Habs back in the lead at 3-2. Soon after, Zibanejad ties up the game again, making this a very back-and-forth game. But going back to special teams, it was very important for the Habs to kill off these penalties as best as they could. And despite losing the lead and having the game evened up on the penalty kill, they really built momentum because Ottawa really should have been in the lead after those power plays. Ultimately, that penalty kill really gave that momentum swing the Habs needed. It really gave them the confidence to play in such a way that they knew they could beat Andrew Hammond. That was really reflected in the last Brian Flynn goal where he just skates past and around the defender, drives to the net, and tucks it far side on Andrew Hammond. That pretty much sums it up for Game 1. Ottawa didn't manage to regain control in such a way that they could score in the third period. Montreal couldn't score either. It got a little ugly in the third period, and that's something to be wary of in Game 2. What the Habs really have to do is maintain the pressure in Game 2. I said it was going to be a goaltending battle. You look at the score, you may not think it was in Game 1, but think about it really closely. Carey Price made the key saves. Andrew Hammond did not. The Thomas Plekanec goal really did hurt the Senators. That was the second goal. And the last Brian Flynn goal really put them in a bad spot. So the game plan for Game 2 is just to get shots on Andrew Hammond. If something goes in and Carey Price makes some big saves, you put Ottawa in a very bad position. You put them in a position where they do not have confidence. And if they don't have confidence, they start making mistakes. Anyways, that does it for this video, folks. Go Habs, go!